We will be there representing Jolibro Publishing, which we publish other authors as well. We're not a hybrid company, so we are a traditional small press. In other words, we pay authors, they don't pay us. So we represent, I don't know, I think it's 5 authors. And by November, we'll have a new book coming out by a new author. Jolibro, it's a combination of our names, Joseph and Lianne. We're not soliciting manuscripts right now, so, but we publish books in the genres of science fiction, fantasy, nature, and spirituality. One of our best-selling books this past year has been Lonesome for Wilderness by Linda Jo Hunter. It's about animal tracking. It's kind of a combination of memoir and how to, and just get excited about going out to wild places and syncing up with nature. And it was really a huge hit. She got a starred review in Library Journal, which was a big coup for a small press. She's got fabulous reviews. The only problem is she died 4 months later. It was totally unexpected and very sudden. And she's also my sister, so kind of hard to talk about. But we're really excited that we captured that book. She was 76 years old, and she was still out every day in the Pacific Northwest in the woods, tracking, doing her thing. So we kept saying, Linda, you need to write this stuff down. 30 years experience she was a grizzly bear guide in Alaska. She, taking people to watch the bears eating on a boat. And there was that experience that was her first book. And she had so much to say about doing it the right way versus following some leader in some group who's doing crazy, foolish things. It's going to get you in trouble. So it's very cool that we caught it when we did. This one, Speed Your Evolution, is like a handbook workbook for people interested in learning about their past lives. And it's about the science behind it. And it has a lot of anecdotes about my 50 years of experience. Next book, Cosmic Dancer. This one is YA fantasy. It's about a young ballerina who starts to remember her life between lives. So she's really freaked out. She's 15 years old after all, and she's really passionate about ballet. She has an alcoholic mother who makes her quit. And that's the main conflict of the story, but also the further conflict of being a teenager in high school and suddenly having these memories of, I was a Swiss dairy farmer. I died in my 80s. And then I spent a lot of time in between lives. So the book spends a lot of time with how she was preparing for her present life. And then the overall drama of how is she going to have her ballet dreams come true.
Interesting.
And that one really has a theme about we find the people who can be our mentors, who may not be family, but they are the right people. They're your spiritual family. They're the people who can help you achieve. And I don't know if everyone has this happen in their lives, but it certainly happened in my life. So this one is called The Liberator, a psychic spiritual history of the Orion Empire. This one was channeled by me in the 1980s and published, I think I published that in 2010. It's not in my voice. That was straight audio taking dictation, but it plays out like a space opera. So I sell this alternatively as Ancient Civilizations because it says it's a history of the Earth people, an extraterrestrial history of the Earth people, our history living on other planets, what happened, what we blew up, why we're here, why we're kind of isolated here on Earth. And like I said, it was dictated to me scene by scene. It has characters. It was like a movie playing. I just described it as it was happening, recorded it, typed it. And every time I tried to edit that book, doesn't work. I end up going back to the original. It's
Hmm.
not in my voice. It's in the voice of whoever dictated it to me. And it's also becoming more timely. So I hope to come out with this in paperback later this year.
Interesting. Okay.
It's got a lot to do with our current political environment. So
Hmm.
more and more relevant. Strange as it is, it's very strange. Okay, this is book one. It's Perception, book one of a Psychics and Aliens trilogy. This is my most recent book that I've written. It has an endorsement by Dr. Avi Loeb of Harvard University, who is the head of the Galileo project. But this is science fiction suspense or speculative fiction suspense. Have you ever heard of the Stargate program that the US government did with remote viewers?
Mm-hmm.
So it takes off from there. I actually interviewed one of the original founders of that program, um, and did some research about it. But my story begins with Minda Blake, who is working as a remote viewer, maybe government trained. She works for a Black Ops mercenary group, and she is out gathering up with her team, gathering up artifacts under every UFO sighting and hiding them away. And she decides that she's had enough of that. It's a lie. It's a huge public lie. It's time the people knew the truth. And if we don't learn the truth, soon they'll be saying, okay, we want to fund a space force. Now, I wrote this in 2017 before we had one.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to say, they're going to terrify everybody that there are aliens out there, which they've known all along. And we'll all go, oh, yeah, money for Space Force. So that's where it begins. So she sets out to steal an artifact. And she has this vague plan of she'll alert the media. Of course, it doesn't go as planned. She loses track. She's really close, but she loses the artifact. It turns out the artifact is dangerous to humanity as a whole. They've taken, measures to not expose themselves to it, which she violates. And the story goes from there. It's set in hyper-conservative Dutch West Michigan. These are Dutch Reformed Christians,
Hmm.
and when you drive into town and you meet someone, you shake their hand, they say, "What church do you go to?" First question. And if you don't answer the right church,
Hmm.
it was quite an eye-opening experience, having been living in Southern California for a long time.
Yeah.
So I use that as my setting, and it's a very unlikely place for these events to take place. Um, this is the tiny book I showed you. We give these away to people who sign up for our newsletter, and it has a sample of the book inside
Hmm.
and a discount if you want to keep reading. I think from what I described, you get the idea that not only my work, but our company has kind of a mindfulness, spirituality bias.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the books we print are collector's editions of works by Ernest L. Norman, which is classic metaphysics published in the 1950s. Um, our next book is a space opera, Falling Through Space, and that's more straight science fiction. But even that has a positive message.
Mm-hmm.
And my book, although it's a thriller, this one that we just talked about, it is a thriller. It's got fast pace and a lot of twists. Um, it still has that positive bias. It's not dystopian, in other words.
Mm-hmm.
So, and one more thing I'd like to say about that book, Perception, is that I sat down to write it. I had a dream. I started the book. I didn't know where it was going. It was, like I said, 2017. Things were looking pretty bad in the world. And I thought, how will we ever greet when finally other civilizations in the universe say, okay, it's safe to talk to these Earth people? How will we greet them if we can't get along with each other?
Mhm.
That was one of the main themes that motivated me to write the book. But once I started writing, I am not a plotter. I am a seat of the pants,
Mhm.
writer. So it took me, and I just would end a chapter, and most of them have cliffhangers, and I didn't know where the next chapter was going to go. So I had to keep writing to find out what's going to happen. And one of the things reviewers have said about it is it has a lot of twists and a lot of turns, and it takes you someplace I never dreamed it would go. I never expected. I just, because I had done straight channeling or transceiving, I prefer to say.
Mhm.
Um, I was more comfortable just letting the book happen, and I was
Mhm.
having a lot of fun. It's like, okay, what next cool thing is going to happen? But this book takes you back to look at a bigger picture, and it's very hopeful for humanity.
Yeah.
So once I've got my fingers on the keyboard, or, occasionally I will voice a chapter, record it, and then transcribe it.
Hmm.
Um, that puts me in a kind of altered state, being able to sit, close my eyes, and speak. I had to learn to do that. My origins as a writer were as a journalist. I wrote for the Los Angeles Times. I was an arts writer for the Los Angeles Times. So I was used to working in a newsroom with lots of noise and chaos and everything, and writing on the spot late at night on the keyboard, reviewing theater. Um, so switching to just letting it happen and being in that more altered state, that was a step for me. So I found it's much faster. Just let it happen. So people complain, some people have writer's block. No, my only block is housework block. So trying to shape my book to the marketplace. I think other writers might be interested in this. I would, if I had something to say to other writers, it would be, don't listen to everybody's advice. Listen inside. Do what spirit moves you to do. Do what your heart tells you to do, what your gut tells you to do. Follow it, and don't try to be commercial. You know, I could do that if I wanted to write books for that purpose, just to make money.
Mhm.
I know how to write. I studied journalism in college. I know how to write commercial stuff. I worked as a ghostwriter. I worked for college business communications textbooks. I can do that.
Right.
But if you're going to put all your time and energy into writing a book, you better do what your heart wants you to do before you die. That's the favorite part, the surprise, that last book. Uh, Being able to be open and just let it flow through and be surprised. If I tried to plot that book, I would have taken it to more mundane places. I would have limited things. And when I tried to take all the advice from the writers' convention, it's boring, mundane, awful. My favorite part is letting go of all of that, letting go of expectations. One of my mentors told me, one of my good mentors told me in the past, if you sit there and the prompting is to say, let cows eat grass, then say it or write it. Just let it happen. And when I would do it vocally, I would start a sentence. I'd use words I didn't actually know the meaning of, and I wouldn't know where the sentence was going to end. And part of my brain is going, this makes no sense. This is crazy. But I let it happen, and I would get to the end of the sentence and go, oh my gosh, it wrapped up. So that's how the whole plot was like that.
Hmm.
I have no idea where this plot can go, but it would. And that's where the unexpected twists come in. And I would go look up those words later on. They would be the exact perfect shade of meaning.
Hmm.
So it not only helped the writing, but it improved my vocabulary considerably. Well, my experience with learning about past lives certainly inspired my writing of my workbook. And, I wanted to share that wisdom as much as possible. Of course, the young adult fantasy about reincarnation was inspired much by my growing up in a small town in Michigan, and also by my experience with remembering past lives. And then that science fiction thriller was a lot of experience I had in Dutch West Michigan before we fled back to San Diego, where people were welcoming and friendly.
Do you get a lot of your stories from dreams, or what do you like? I know you're writing them, off the cuff, but do you find like your dreams threading their way into your stories, or?
Sometimes, yes. Sometimes a dream will open up a door, and the perception began as a short story, which was inspired by a dream. And I have another book I haven't published yet. It's middle grade fiction, and that was definitely a dream, very vivid dream. Character in the middle of crisis point. And so that one's not published, but that one, yeah. Yeah, so any place I can be receptive,
Mm-hmm.
that's where the story can be. And through the course of writing something, that can be dreams, it can be while I'm washing dishes, it can be while I'm at the keyboard, while I'm sitting there talking to a microphone, any place that I'm receptive. A little more empowerment for themselves. What we've been talking about, trust yourself. Trust yourself. Don't look outside yourself for answers. Look within and follow it. Really believe in it and trust it. It's the only way that you can grow as a human, is by doing the thing that's new for you. The universe is a faceted, multifaceted, infinitely faceted consciousness, if you want to say. And you are one tiny piece, but it matters. It's what makes infinity infinite, is your unique little tiny piece. All of your, for me, because I believe in reincarnation, all of your experiences, everything that has built the you that you are right now looking back at me, all of that is so unique and unique to you, and it's your expression in the universe. And if you don't express it, we're missing out. It's really hard. It's really hard. I mean, it's easy for me to say and to believe, but it's really hard to do, because having that faith on the inner voice, it's like I said, when I was learning to transceive, I had to learn to speak whatever came to me to speak and not question it, not edit it, not go, oh no, that's not right. That can't be right. I had to learn to let my ego step aside and speak this thing that was coming through me. Mm-hmm. And question it and do, I could question it later. I could edit later if I wanted to, although I've tried and can't. But, that's what has to happen. And that's really hard, because we are insecure creatures.